Big time challenge going into Baton Rouge Saturday. And I think as a competitor, these are the opportunities that you dream of. And obviously we're right in the middle of the prep here, but in general here, we're excited about all that comes with this and got a ton of respect for LSU, Coach Kelly, his staff, and their team. And this will require us to be at our best. Keep it simple. That's where we're at right now.
Oh, slow talking, Sunbelt Billy. Billy Napier on the SEC coaches teleconference. I jest. I like Billy Napier a lot. When he was at Lafayette, he was good to us. Came on the show often, and wish him well. I mean, I don't ever want to see Florida succeed in anything, but I wish him personally well. Certainly not this weekend in any way. But it's an opportunity to bounce back, and as you might imagine, that was sort of the core of the questioning. The embarrassing loss to South Florida, now the daunting task of going on the road against LSU, a defense that here at the start of the season has been among the best in the country in every major statistical category. Just mightily impressive. And a Florida team and offense that's really trying to find itself a little bit in the early going. And Napier was asked about the response from his team this week, and as you might imagine, it's one of resolve. These are young people who are resilient, and you see it oftentimes, and Napier sort of reflected that today.
The important thing here is that we use what we experienced Saturday. What are we going to do with the lessons we learned? What are we going to do with the emotions that we feel? And can we take that and use it as a catalyst here, to make the team better, right? And I think ultimately what I do sense is a loyalty. I think the guys they want to do their best for each other. And I think that they're trying to take this head on here. And I think it's got an opportunity. These things they make you better, right? They make you stronger. They make you tougher. They make you battle tested. They help you improve yourself. And I think when you run into a little bit of adversity, it's important that you elevate and you not shrink back.
He's said a mouthful, but he's not wrong. And you do oftentimes see that. When you have an embarrassing result, do you rebound and allow that to inspire you to play better, or do you allow that to beat you again the next week? I know I've referenced it, but in 2017, LSU lost on their home field to Troy. It was an embarrassing loss. A week later, they went to Gainesville to play Florida in a game nobody thought they'd win, and LSU won that game 17-16 in Gainesville. Pretty incredible outcome considering where they were just a week prior. Florida has a similar opportunity now with the shoe on the other foot. They lost an embarrassing game at home to South Florida. Now they got to come on the road to Baton Rouge and see how all this is going to play out. But it feels like a much greater task against this LSU defense, which right now is 11th in the country at just 207 yards per game and is 13th at just 8.5 points per game. This is an LSU defense that went to Clemson and held that Clemson offense. And maybe time as it plays out, we'll look back and say maybe Clemson isn't a great team. I mean, they just, were handcuffed for a half incidentally, by Troy. But I think it was pretty naturally a letdown spot for both LSU and Clemson a week ago. Is a look-ahead spot for Florida. It's the reason we talk about these things. They're cliches, but cliches often are rooted in some degree of truth, and especially when you're talking about young people, it's why these axioms sort of hold, because it is true. You do look ahead as much as you try to focus on 1-0. So, yes, I do believe Florida's going to come to Baton Rouge and give LSU their best shot. I also believe that it's going to be really hard, even for Florida at their best, to move the ball, because this is a Florida team that right now offensively has not been very good. I'll remind you on Monday when Billy Napier met with reporters and he was talking about his quarterback, DJ Lagway, he effectively acknowledged something we've been talking about, which is Lagway is rusty.
I thought he made a lot of steps forward in the game Saturday. I think he's still getting comfortable. You guys can see that much like he can and we can. So he's still getting in the rhythm. This was third week of practice. You can see that, getting comfortable with some of these skill players. And then, I think he's really close, to having a huge day. And, he takes that personal, and he's an elite competitor.
Maybe DJ Lagway is close to having a huge day. Maybe he is. But I can look at two games. They played Long Island and won 55-0 against a completely overmatched team. Lagway was efficient, 15 of 18, but only threw for 120 yards, 3 touchdowns. He was sacked once. He ran 3 times for 3 yards with a long and 9. Of course, sack yardage is stupid, but it's not adjusted. Then against South Florida, he was 23 of 33 for 222, a touchdown and a pick, ran 6 times for 9 yards, a long of 7. Like, that's not going to get it done against LSU. He's going to have some otherworldly type performance to be able to move the ball against an LSU defense that so thoroughly confused a 5th-year senior and 3-year starter in Cade Klubnik, who was playing on his home field with veteran receivers, 4 veteran offensive linemen, and they could only muster 10 points on their home field. And 3 of those were handed to Clemson after an LSU turnover. Like, yes, DJ Lagway is going to have to be otherworldly for Florida to have a chance to win this game. And we just haven't seen DJ Lagway really be that in his time at Florida. Like, with respect, the one game that pops was the first game he ever started, and that was against Samford when he threw for 456 and 3 touchdowns. But I've said this before, if you remove the game against Samford, which I know you can't, it happened, and everybody's averages go that way for a certain way, but we can all, I think, equally acknowledge playing Samford at home is not the same as playing Tennessee on the road or playing Georgia in Jacksonville. Now, he came in that game after, or he left that game, or came in that game after with injury with a hamstring. But then playing LSU and playing Ole Miss, even in that Ole Miss game, the game they won 24-17, he was 10 of 17 for $180, 2 touchdowns and a pick. Like, Florida had no business winning that game. He only completed 50% of his passes against LSU. He was 13 to 26, had a touchdown and no interceptions. He wasn't great. LSU couldn't finish drives, had a very costly turnover, and allowed a 55-yard touchdown run. That's a recipe to get beat when you don't go play your best. You allow a lesser team to stay in it. And that's what happened in those games. Even their win against Florida State last year, he threw for $133, 2 touchdowns and a pick. Like, that's not going to be good enough. You can be awed by DJ Lagway because of the physical ability, the size, the arm strength, and all that is incredible. It's why he was a 5-star prospect. But the results that I'm talking about here are also why in July, when we're talking about this, I kept pushing back on Lagway and Lenora Sellers and Art, saying they're great physical talent. Like, no one's arguing the physical ability, but you still have to see it. There's plenty of super talented athletes that struggle in the Southeastern Conference. It's hard to go on the road and win in this league. And DJ Lagway's figuring that out still a little bit early in his career. Now, on Wednesday, Billy Napier also gave an update on DJ Lagway here at the midway point of the week.
DJ continues to get exponentially better by the day. The more work he gets, the better he's going to get. So, it's exponential improvement at this point because he's getting a ton of reps each day with his teammates. So I'm excited about that. I think that's one of the things that I look forward to is watching him continue to get better.
And by the way, I do believe that. Like, that is a logical statement. Remember where we started with the Lagway convo. Lagway did not participate in spring because of the shoulder. And then he missed fall camp because of a leg injury. So Napier told you he's only been practicing for 3 weeks. He practiced before the opener. He practiced for a week, and then they had the game week of Long Island and then the game week of South Florida. He practiced for 1 week before they were into game week. So, yeah, I do fully expect as the season goes along and he gets more comfortable and gets into a rhythm with his receivers and starts processing again, that he's going to continue to improve. It's probably one of the reasons why LSU's catching Florida at a good spot early in the schedule as opposed to maybe later in the schedule, like what happened last year. But I'm struggling to find that point where I think Florida's coming here and is going to have some big offensive day. I think Florida, this game relies on their defense and their ability to create turnovers, because I don't believe that DJ Lagway and that cast of offensive guys, where they're not exceptional on the outside. They got a good running back, a big running back, but LSU's been outstanding against the run. I'm just not convinced Florida's coming in here and is gonna score in the 30s. So they're going to have to try to muddy this thing up and play a low-scoring game and maybe force Garrett Nussmeier into some mistakes. But if DJ Lagway comes in here and balls out and throws for 300 yards, I'll be the first to tip my cap. But that's one of those where I'm a doubting Thomas, brother. I got to see it to believe it. I ain't seen it yet with DJ Lagway. Hey, thanks so much for watching. Please leave your comments. I love to interact. And be sure to hit the red subscribe button below.